Okay, so okay na tayo. So at least marami pa, baka may mga darating pa no, mayroong space sa likuran. Now looking at this portion, because what we do in one location will only be replicated in other locations, and I will explain later on what are the portions of the building that you first need to look at so that you will exactly be in a place the shortest time possible, because you really do not know ano mga mangyayari, no? So ito yung titingnan natin. So if you are here and there is no ceiling covering like this one, and good thing is exposure yung tinatawag natin na gano'n, but there are times na talagang you will be able to see the belly or the underside of the beam or the connection of the beam and the column. So we call this the beam, no? This is the beam and this is the column. Okay. Now the cracks that will be manifested after an earthquake that has reached beyond the capacity of a column, uunahin mo talaga yung column. First, you check the column, then check the beam, and then the walls, and then the falling hazards. So lahat natin yon para ma-catch up natin, no? So first, columns. Okay. Then two, the beams. Then the second, walls. So kasali na rin dyan yung ceilings. Okay. And then four, anong sinabi ko kanina? Falling parts.
Falling hazards.
Hazards. Okay, falling hazards. Okay, ito siya. When you say falling hazards, lahat na to. Like, for example, if this is a flagpole na simento, it might fall. So ito yung mga ano natin. Okay? So if this is now the column, ano yung una nating titingnan? Okay, since the column, if you go back here, if it is stretched on this side, this face of the column will be, because many engineers are present, will be under tension. Okay? Concrete is weak versus tension. Concrete is very strong against compression, but very weak in tension. So pag nag-bend yan sa doon, there will be a first propagation of a horizontal crack. So if you liken this to a human body, ganun siya. So sa Binisaya pa, this portion here is your armpit or your, sa Bisaya, ilok. Ilok, kilikili. Okay, yon. So you look at that portion there, then you will see if the earthquake is moving in this direction or in that direction, but we just have to look at one direction only, there will be a horizontal crack generated immediately. Ganon. So, one horizontal crack, hindi mo mapapansin yon. There are times there will be series of horizontal cracks. Ganon. Okay? And if the earthquake is really stronger, okay, if the earthquake is stronger, there will be diagonal cracks. So if that is the direction of the diagonal cracks, that means to say the earthquake pulls this way. And then when the earthquake goes in that direction of equal magnitude, there will be another crack. And when there is many swaying, it will be multiplied by more diagonal cracks. Now, what is this telling us? When there is already a crack in this kind, kahit na isa na diagonal or isa na horizontal, it tells us that there is already what we call a hinge. Sa Binisaya, bisagra. Okay? When you open a door, you swing, close, open, close, open. So that part that is responsible for the swinging of the door is what we call the hinge. Now this is now acting like a hinge. You call that in our language plastic hinge. So when there is already a plastic hinge, you imagine if this thing will rotate left and right like a door. what happens? There is now a collapse. And the only thing that is holding here is the concrete. So when there are so many cracks there, the next thing that will happen is it will boom. It will explode because concrete does not have flexibility. When it is overstressed, it suddenly explodes. And that's what happened to Eva, Engr 4000, and other buildings. So pag nag-explode na yan siya, luluhod yung column na yan. Now, you will notice also that there are buildings, like in Corheso, one of their buildings there, nag-explode na ito siya, but the building is still standing. Why? Because there are other buildings that are still undamaged. Okay, so when there are so many columns, ito, minimum of 3 columns. When there are 3 columns minimum adjacent to each other, showing this type of damage, then collapse is imminent. Okay, let me repeat it. Pag magkasunod na yan siya, especially if the number of columns are only few, like in this direction, 3, immediately. So I think Eva has 5 or 6 in the front. But you notice all of those columns bursted, exploded already here. Okay? So pag ano yung makita mo dito sa taas, ganon din yung makikita mo sa baba. Okay? Mag-pair yun na, magpiayon yun na, perme. They're always married together. So when this will swing, so if you try to look at this one, if this will try to bend in that direction, this will be under tension. Okay? So, magdodouble yan dito. Magdodouble. So there will be cracks. Yung cracks naman, it doesn't need to be continuous. You will just see here cracks pag ganun. Maliit lang. Pag ganun. And then, pag ganun siya. Or the paints, matuklap siya. Pag ganun. And then there are others. Pag ganun. Okay, so si Ma'am from DPWH, from DepEd, we toured around those places and we had the first-hand training already on rapid assessment before this happened. So you notice that those buildings in the ground floor, you see that all of the columns in the ground floor has this damage and also below. Okay, so we recommended to the city that it's going to be level 2. Ano yung level 2? Entry with caution. Okay, nandun siya. Because you can still get your valuables, do a detailed assessment and repair. But that is another story. So, ito yung dapat nating makita. When you see this, then if it is isa lang, so when you go to an inspection, hindi kayo papasok agad, no? So, this is now going to be an inspection on the perimeter. Now, look at this structure. Itingnan mo dito. If the building will sway back and forth, okay, the most stressed location is always the side. The sides, dito and doon. This one, hindi masyado. That's why when we did an inspection in Metro Gaisano, in Digos, so we noticed that the damaged columns are always on the perimeters. The interior columns are undamaged. So pag titingin tayo, mag-i-inspect kayo, you go around first on the perimeter. Titingnan nyo yung nasa baba and doon sa may kilikili. On the exterior. Because it happens, what you can see, if this is now you, from the outside, what you can see here is always reflected on the inside. Because the swaying is back and forth. So there is a damage here, there will also be a damage on the inside. Okay, lahos-lahos, no, sa Bisaya. Salamat, sir. No? So lahos-lahos na siya. And also here, lahos-lahos na. So you go around and see first before you enter. Now look at the beams. Now there are structures that are designed where the beams are almost or even as strong as the columns. Now, usually what happens there is there are what we call crack propagation on the beams, which is coming from the underside of the ilog, then it will be diagonal cracks. Ganon siya. Minsan, tagdalawa, minsan tatlo, minsan marami. Okay, now if this is the kind of crack that we have, although this is not as critical as the columns because you still have a, what you call this, a running time. When you're inside, when you see these things, it's still okay. But okay in a sense that it is not as dangerous as this one, but this tells us to classify this as a level 2, not a level 3. We can still repair this for as long as the building did not bend. Hindi pa siya bumagsak. So may mga ganitong structure, but almost often, if you try to look at those exploded and damaged structures already, this is the first symbol. And what happens here, if it is in the exterior part, when this structure will go down, this one will just go out. This is now the direction, and you can look at Eva Hotel on the side, along Chowking. You will notice those columns going out like that. So if you also look at the Ecoland 4000, those columns on the ground floor, on the basement, or the parking, or the garage area, they always go out. But that is now the after incident. So ito yung makikita natin. Now for the sake of those people whom you will be talking to, karamihan sa kanila, and I think almost 99% who are not technical people, they are more afraid of the walls rather than the columns. Tama ba? Yes. Yun. So, yun ang nakikita na. Engineer, yung ano pa din. Yun pa, sa akin, never mind, let's look at the columns first. So, sabi nga na, tanaw sa natin yung mga poste. Kanimang good engineer, dako kay gliki, ang kuhan, si matumba ning pader. Okay. So, I should have brought some pictures, kaya lang, because we really ran out of time, and the preparation was really very short. So, lecture na lang. So, what do we do? Pag meron tayong I'll just, okay na, i-erase ko lang to. I'll just replace so that my drawing will be a little bigger. Okay. So, do you think this information is helpful? Yes. Okay. Very much. Okay, so dito tayo. Let's go now. What do we expect on the walls? Okay. Ayan siya. So, column. Ayan. Now, if there is a window, kita natin, may window dito, opening, or any wall. Maliit lang na. Ganon. Window, and then merong door. Okay, if there is a door, there is a window. So when there is a shaking, okay, you imagine now the shaking back and forth. So the walls are what we call rigid elements along its plane. So when we say rigid elements along its plane, you imagine this whiteboard. Okay, this whiteboard, if I will push this whiteboard back and forth, it will not deform nga mukuyos ng blackboard bisan pagpug nga ni Melchor there is a pika side, we push towards each other, this whiteboard will not compress. Okay, it will not shorten. Okay, and the whiteboard has nowhere else to go but out of plane. Okay, it will go towards you or towards the back. So that is what we call out of plane deformation. Now, since concrete, particularly CHB walls, they're not really that strong compared to the mixing of the concrete. And the only resistance it has are the bars. Okay, the bars. So pag nag-move na siya din okay, it has nowhere else to go but to go out of plane. Okay, so what is now the behavior of an out-of-plane deformation? Okay, the out-of-plane deformation, mahubag nga siya din Okay, you will notice there will be horizontal or diagonal cracks again in pairs. Okay? On the corners, on the windows. Okay? So initially, on the windows, on the door jambs. Okay? On the corners again. Ano na siya? Initial. Now, when you increase the load further, this will now be pregnant. Out-of-line siya. So you imagine, this will come out of the whiteboard. So this will continue to imaginary line, go out here, mura siya banig nga imong or kanamang iposta o hapon ba? Gunita ni mang upat ka tumoy, then it will sag in the middle. In this case, this will be like that. Okay? So, because of that, because of the resistance of the wall, okay, because it's moving back and forth, there will be cracks perpendicular to the beginning cracks, like that. This will be separated, this will be separated, cracks will go there, cracks will go here, and even the plasters and the connection. Diba, kadaghanan sa tuang construction, what we do is, when there is a hollow block wall there, then we pile close to the columns, plasteran nato na siya, and the earthquake will try to separate, okay? Will try to separate the column and the wall. So it will be manifested by cracks between the walls and the columns. Okay? So when it's cracking now, even a very good plaster on the column will go together with the wall. So makita lang, hala, engineer, nako'y nakita nga crack din nga sa poste, vertical. Okay? Now, kana siya, the crack on the vertical is actually a response of the wall that is strongly connected with the plastering of the column. So, pagpiraan na. Okay, that is not as critical as those joint failures. So, dili to siya dangerous, that kind of crack. Now, what happens here is, basically, this is not contributory to a collapse of the building. But this is considered, thank you, a falling hazard. So when there is now an opening here, usually there are dowels there. There are dowels or reinforced concrete members. Anong sa ko? Thank you.